Ignore the receding hairline for a minute. You and I have to talk. First of all, this was not an easy video to do. I had to do a lot of thinking, a lot of backtracking on the games I've played in my whole life. And I think everyone can agree it's not easy to come up with your favorite games of all time, especially if you've played a lot like me. The genres that my favorite games exist in might be biased. It's not so much the genre, it's just the fact that these games were so well perfected in their genre. I really can't explain it any better than I love the game for the game. It was a very hard choice. I don't think anybody in their life could really determine that, like 100% commit to it, because I myself really had a hard time committing to this list. I can't even really name my number one because there's so many, but I'm gonna try. That being said, I woke up this morning and I noticed that we are at 400 subscribers. Wow, I really appreciate that a lot. It's crazy. I was reading some comments where some of you guys said, like, how do you not have more subs? How do you not have like 100K subs? I really can't explain it other than I've had so much experience on the platform. I've watched so much content over the years, and I just learned, I learned what works and what doesn't. And I think that like a really big thing in today's day and age is people watching long videos of people talking. And I'm not necessarily against like video essays, because I do them all the time. I can see why they can get like old and repetitive, and you're not going to want to watch the same thing all the time. So I try to switch it up. With like gameplay videos and like little joke meme videos that I do, because I genuinely enjoy those, and I feel like other people would get a laugh at some of the humor that we have. And obviously I have to cut out lots of it because some of the stuff that the guys and I say is just it's hilarious. It's not offensive, it's just a little off-putting to strangers, so something that only we would understand. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully you enjoy this very complex, complicated, difficult video that I had to construct within the weekend's time period. Thanks guys, appreciate your viewership. I didn't poop yet today.
As I stated in the beginning, this is not an easy task. If I asked you what your favorite video game of all time is, what would you say? I'll tell you what you'd say. Absolutely nothing, because I put you on the spot, and it would be awkward. Totally kidding, but you'd probably have to take a minute and reflect on every single game you've ever physically sat down, played, finished, and to this day could pick up anytime, anywhere, and still thoroughly enjoy it. It's a tough decision. Simply because video games are art. Every representation, no matter how good or bad, required a whole team or a single individual with resources available to them that took years to understand, and essentially made virtual movies that are both interactive and immersive. Sure, a game is just a game, whatever. I don't even argue against that claim anymore because it's still just as fucking stupid as when I first heard it. Just because it doesn't take a lot of physical exertion for a human being to play a game, doesn't mean that it negates the game's purpose. You guys hopefully understand what I mean. That being said, I had to do a lot of thinking to come up with this list, and Brian and I have had this exact conversation 100,000 times. Hopefully you guys enjoy this very rocky and very in-depth look at my absolute favorite games of all time, numbered by 5. Dead Space 2. Gee, who would have guessed that? I already made a video talking about Dead Space 2 and giving my honest opinion about how well the game is held up and how it still continues to demolish any current competition at this time. Dead Space 2 is kinda like the Terminator of video games. Funny how both of them share many sci-fi and horror elements and have mixed the two so goddamn well, it's impossible to stop talking about it. It's also impossible to stop playing. Obviously, you'll get probably bored after playing for some time, but you and I are alike. I noticed this game in my Steam library, and I always have to install it again. Isaac Clarke is a genuinely amazing character, and I'm looking forward to seeing Gunnar Wright back in the shoes of our beloved stomping hero. Also, nice choice of a fucking song, EA. Holy shit, I have to give you credit for that. The Last of Us. I don't think there's a game quite like it. Story-wise, no. Gameplay-wise, nope. Graphically, Get the fuck out of here. When I completed my first playthrough of The Last of Us, I knew immediately it was the game I wanted to play over and over again. It's often praised for its gripping and emotional story, rightfully so, but I feel like a lot of people always undermine the combat itself when it's one of the most realistic and brutal mechanics I've ever witnessed in a game. The beauty that rests behind The Last of Us and its legacy was shamefully cut short with the sequel, which I unfortunately pre-ordered. After the death of Joel, I couldn't forgive Neil Druckmann. I've been criticized for that in particular, and all I have to say is, if you claim the sequel is better than the first, you're fucking lying, and you know it. I've played the first game 1,000 times, whereas the sequel I beat once. Just goes to show you. It was a lot of fun to play through it again this year, because I got to introduce Kat to the game for the very first time, and it was both emotional and fantastic. Anyways, I've heard people saying good things about the remake of the first game, which I can't play without a PS5 for now. Gee, thanks Sony, or whoever the fuck decided that. Now I have to wait. The first game remains a huge, ever-growing tree that only reaches higher towards the sun the more times you visit it. I swear, every time I play that fucking game, I discover something I've never noticed before, whether it be small or a huge Easter egg. I can't deny that the game is fantastic, and you bet your ass it's one of my all-time favorites. Stalker Anomaly.
Anyone else want to fuck with me?
Oh shit. Oh shit, rocket guy. Someone's got a fucking RPG. Shit. I've spent so many hours killing the monolith and destroying the mutants of the zone in this game. Given the fact that it's free to play as well, it just adds that spark to the fact that anyone can experience this at any time. It was beyond considerate for the devs to make this, and I will probably praise it until the day I'm dead. Although the game can surely be frustrating, sometimes it might not run at 100% quality, and you'll probably get scared a few times, but it's all worth it to be a truly free stalker in the heart of the zone, especially with the mod capabilities. The next big video I plan on doing is the Stalker mods video, which hopefully doesn't take me too long. I'm currently trying to figure out the best way for me to play Escape from Pripyat, which is a really popular mod that someone asked me to review. It's pretty tough as far as I know, so I'll have to get back to you on that. Regardless, the overall experience of Anomaly is one that I have to recommend to you if you're unaware of it. There were tons of moments for me in the game that made me feel more immersed than ever, like when I was fighting an army of monolith at the Chernobyl power plant. Can you say that about any other game? I can't. That's why you should play it. Gary's mod. Oh boy, this is a big one. The amount of wasted time, the amount of ragdolls and props I've spawned and created to use for my own imaginative ideas in Gary's mod, it can be summed up in 4 digits. That's how long I've spent playing the game. Before you ask, no, I don't play multiplayer ever, mostly just play by myself and create games off the top of my head, maybe pose characters in a scene and snap a screenshot. I don't know. Not really too sure why I have gotten so much enjoyment all by my lonesome in Gmod, but I just know it's great. The amount of mod support that the community has is outrageous, and it is very apparent that this game's social life isn't going to die anytime soon. Whether or not you have good or bad memories with Gmod, you can't lie that the game changed a lot of our lives. This game has been out for so long that there exist achievements that you can't even unlock anymore. For example, this achievement is called Yes, I Am the Real Gary, and the only way to get it is if you play Gmod in the same server as Gary Newman, the guy who created the game. Are you shitting me? That guy hasn't played his own fucking game in 10 years. How the hell am I supposed to get the achievement now? Well, faulty achievements aside, I still can't but help dive back into Gmod almost every other week. Some might wonder how someone like me could have so much fun in a small game like this, but honestly, I just have a huge imagination, and I'm not afraid to show it. Alright. This last one was not an easy decision in the slightest. I've played lots of great games in my life that I would qualify as perfect, such as Half-Life 2, Timesplitter's Future Perfect, the God of War series. My opinions vary between genres, but the fact remains the same. This was a very tough call. Resident Evil 4. God, I know, okay? I know. Whoop-de-fucking-do, as if nobody saw that coming. Listen to me. This wasn't just a Resident Evil game. This specific game has been classified in the fanbase as God tier. Well, depending on which side you ask, and to this day proves to be a masterpiece in both storytelling and intense combat. Does it have flaws? Of course it does. But even I know a marble sculpture is scratched before it becomes the veiled Christ. Let's just forget for a minute that Resident Evil 4 is even what it's called. Let's pretend that it's not a Resident Evil game and maybe call it, I don't know, Parasites or something. Even without the label of the Resident Evil games, it would hold up on its own in a heartbeat due to its amazing and well done formula. You know why? Because it's a solid fucking game. Because it takes you into a world of well-designed horrors and over-the-top action sequences. It's a wild ride through and through, and I don't care what anybody says, I'll defend it until the day I die. The insignificant amount of contentment is exceptional here, and the game's legacy has lived on to tell the tale to many others after it how to design a good game. Be that as it may, Resident Evil 4 isn't necessarily scary anymore, so to speak, but it demonstrates proper mechanics and impressive graphics for the console's limitations at the time. I have spent my entire life playing Resident Evil 4, and someday when I have kids, I plan on telling them all about it. That's how big of an impact this game has had on all of us in our younger years, and I can't deny that it's my most played game, probably of all time. Well, it was tough, but I finally did it. Be mindful of the fact that none of these games are ranked in a specific order besides Resident Evil 4. The other games are all heavy contenders on what took me a whole day to process and write about. And shit, I still feel like I didn't cover everything, so I guess I might have to make another one of these later on. There's many games in my library that I have played consecutively, even today, but I'll have to touch more upon them another time. Anyways, thanks for checking out this quick look with me, guys and gals. I always enjoy reviewing some personal favorites of mine and offering some insight for your amazing minds to ponder over. Or something like that.
Goodbye!
Alright, it's that time of the video where I beg and plead for you guys to like and subscribe for more content. If you're feeling dangerous, you can hit that bell too to get notifications the second we upload a video. It really helps us out, and thanks a lot for the support, guys.